Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soccer Sharps, a soccer betting podcast. We are here for the Champions League. Match day 4. We have some absolute bangers for you guys. We've got Liverpool, Real Madrid. We've got PSG, Bayern. We've got Man City, Dortmund, and so much more. I'm joined by Andrew Passaro from the Plus Money Pod, but we'll get into that.
Martial. Herrera. Ibrahimovic! Oh my God, an insane goal! I've just seen the most insane goal I have ever seen on a football pitch. Balotelli. Aguero!
Wow, I got so hyped up, I cut myself off on the intro there. I am joined on this fine evening by Andrew Passaro from the Plus Money Podcast. He also has a Patreon where he gives out picks. Andrew, how you doing on this Monday evening?
I mean, how could you? I'm pumped, dude. We got Champions League. We got a great slate coming up. We've got some great matchups, some big teams that have won this thing before that are going to be playing other teams that have won this thing before. We're looking at 2 days of total nonstop, soccer action. And honestly, I say this every time the Champions League comes up. The most dangerous hour for me is that I'm on the East Coast, so 2 to 3 p.m. right before the games kick off, where you have all the lineups and everything's like ready, and I'm just like sitting. I'm looking at the sports book on my phone. I'm like, it's hard not to just bet way more than I intended to. So you know what? I'm excited. I'm worried about my ability to rein it in from 2 to 3 p.m. tomorrow. I'll say that.
Man, I hear you. I'll tell you, East meets West here. We're on the West Coast, and I'm really jealous about those kickoff times you guys get. We got 9:45 a.m. and 12 p.m. over here. And boy, on like a Premier League weekend, you got like a 7 a.m. kickoff over here, 4:30 a.m. sometimes. It's just insane. My life would be much better on the East Coast. Speaking of life's being better, Jordan is away. He's traveling. He's enjoying himself, I believe, in Northern California at the moment. So we wish him well. And unfortunately, Andrew, you got to be around for this because we do have to look at the results from this weekend. And they weren't pretty, people, so I'm going to throw them up on the screen here. I went 2-3. Jordan went 2-4. We lost a combined 3.32 units on the weekend. Rough. And I do want to point out, Jordan wanted me to point this out, that last week we were bragging about how he was on a heater in our Discord. And the gambling gods heard that and immediately smote him to go 2-4 there. So rough weekend. But look, the beautiful thing is we got more matches. We got more we can break down. So let's dive into it right now because tomorrow, Tuesday, we have an absolute banger of a match. It's Liverpool Football Club against Real Madrid. This one lined as a pick, and the total is set at 2.75. Both teams to score minus 275. Either team on the money line here, plus 150 for Liverpool, plus 160 for Madrid. Boy, the bookies can't split this one, Andrew. And I just want to say, for our listeners, if they haven't listened to your podcast before, you are a Liverpool fan, so everybody be aware of that. But Andrew, what do you think about this matchup?
I think I'm worried. It's Real Madrid in the Champions League. You know what I mean? The anxiety's already through the roof. I do think this is, Liverpool on a run here where they're playing teams that I think they do stylistically match up well against. But also you have one of the most informed forwards in the world right now in Kylian Mbappe, and you make one mistake and he's going to make you pay. And Liverpool really haven't been able to get through many games this season without making a few mistakes, let alone one. So I do think that Real Madrid are in a primed position to avenge their loss at Anfield last season. But you know what? There's a reason we play the game, and we'll get to watch it tomorrow at 3:00.
Yeah, man, this was supposed to be the Trent Alexander-Arnold reunion match, but it looks like he's probably not starting this one. Although maybe they give him run just to have the revenge game angle. This is a tough one. Jordan and I both were on Aston Villa getting a full goal at Anfield on the weekend, and we lost 2 units on that play. So I'm a little bit nervous to go against Liverpool because Anfield is such a fortress. It just seems like it's impossible to go in there and get points. But man, Real Madrid are cooking. 6 straight wins. Started with that El Clasico win, right? Just like it popped off afterwards, guys getting in fights on the pitch. It was great. I loved it. And you mentioned Mbappe's form. Boy, Mbappe with Vinny Jr. on the left, like who's going to play right back for Liverpool, right? It's probably going to be Connor Bradley. Like, is he going to hold up uh, against those two and their pace? This is going to be a fascinating matchup, right? Like, the athletes from Madrid, the pure speed that they have with like Bellingham, Mbappe, Vinicius running through in the counter, because we saw Aston Villa get opportunities, right? They were dangerous. They put up less than 1 xG, but if you watch the game, they were more dangerous than that. They hit the post once, and if they had a little more quality, if they had Kylian Mbappe quality, they're finishing some of those. So hard to pick a winner in this though, right? It just feels like it's going to be tough to have a winner. So I ended up going with Madrid team total over 1.5. It's -125. It's a little bit juicy, but it just feels like with Liverpool's sort of defensive woes here, I think Madrid can get in the back of the net twice. Now Liverpool might score twice too, so I'm scared of the money line. I'm scared of the pick. So just give me that team total -125. It's fair enough.
That's exactly where I went for this game, for every single reason that you have already highlighted. But let me give you a couple stats here. Madrid have done this 11 times in 14 games this season. Liverpool have given that up 10 times already in 16 games. They gave up 2 goals to Atletico Madrid in the Champions League at Anfield, nonetheless. And that was a time frame when Atletico weren't even on their best, form yet. They're starting to figure it out themselves. But yeah, I think that's probably the, you never want to say safe, but it's the thing that I would believe happens the most in this game. I do want to point out that I saw Kylian Mbappe at even money anytime, and that's kind of on my card for tomorrow as well. 14 games already this season. He has 12 goals. Or no, he has more than that, but he has goals in 12 of 14 games. And it's just one of those things where it's like, look, you have an elite team in Real Madrid and one of the world's best in Kylian Mbappe. And like, normally these prices are much lower. And it's like, sometimes maybe it does feel like a trap, but like sometimes it's not a trap. And it's just the most common sense thing. And right now, I feel like that's the most common sense thing.
Because his form is just scintillating, man. He's on penalties. And this is going to be such a fun game. I wouldn't put anyone off taking the total here. Parlay with that with the both teams to score. Probably get like a playable price. If you want to get very Jordan with this, RIP Jordan, he's not dead, but he's not live with us. Madrid double chance parlayed with both teams to score -105. We call Jordan the hand ringer because he does this shit. He likes to move the lines like a little bit and then add something. Because I think both teams get on the score sheet. This starts at 1-1 at least for me, and then it's like who gets the second and maybe third and fourth goals. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And you brought up Mbappe. It's almost reminding me of like the Messi and Ronaldo days, because we have 3 just incredible goal scoring number 9s playing this sport right now in Europe. They're all in different leagues, but we all get to see them during this Champions League. It's Kylian Mbappe, it's Erling Haaland, and it's Harry Kane. All of those guys, just incredible goal scoring numbers. So let's move on, because we've got one of those guys playing. It's Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich. This one is lined as a pick. Total is set at 3.5. And your boy Harry Kane, he's got this one circled on the calendar, and all of Bayern does. After these two teams met in the Club World Cup, Paris won that match 2-0, but it was much more competitive than it may have seemed. This was the game that Jamal Musiala got his ankle snapped in half by Donnarumma, who came out maybe a little recklessly, causing that injury. So I think there's a little bit of bad blood here between these two. But boy, this should be a great game. What do you think about this matchup?
Bayern are on insane form. I think it's kind of sliding under the radar right now, too. I'm not the biggest believer in Vincent Kompany, but they have not lost. They have not drawn. They have only won this season. They've been very good. They have given up goals on the road, so we can talk about that in a little bit. And PSG are banged up. You know what I mean? Like they are walking a little wounded right now. And I don't know. I think this is a big spot for Bayern, because I don't think they're being talked enough about, for how good this team is. And I think we have not started the conversation loud enough yet for should Harry Kane be included in the Ballon d'Or conversation? Because you know what? Look, he has goals in 12 of 15 games this season. He has 8 braces and 2 hat tricks. He's averaging, I think, more than a goal a game in the Bundesliga. He's delivering in the Champions League. If England go far in the World Cup, I don't want them to win a World Cup. But if they win a World Cup and Bayern win the Champions League, which aren't out of the realm of possibility. I mean, I know he's, but he does everything for this Bayern team. He's on penalties. All he has done is stepped in and filled into that same level of productivity that Lewandowski left at the club. For a guy that was over 100 million, I think it was a little bit of a steal in hindsight. So yeah, Bayern are flying. PSG a little injured. I think there's going to be some fascinating matchups in midfield and defense. I'm very curious to see how Company lines up Bayern for this one.
I'm glad you brought up the midfield because for me, that's where you got to look with this game. And the double pivot guys that Bayern likes to play, right, is probably going to be Pavlovic and Kimmich. Sometimes it's Goretzka, but he usually comes off the bench. So you got Pavlovic and Kimmich. The 2 wingbacks are flying high. They're putting like 6 guys on the front line. It's like a 2-2-6 that Bayern runs, and they're dominant, right? But they're playing Bundesliga opponents. If they do that kind of thing against PSG, they're just going to get diced up. And that scares me a little bit. But I agonized over this one, man. I was looking at this thing. First, I was on Bayern. And then I hear PSG, 36 matches unbeaten at home at the Parc des Princes. 36 matches unbeaten. So I don't see him really losing the game. And you're telling me you can get him as a draw no bet, as on the pick, on the Asian handicap, as we call it, minus 118. It's a little juicy, but I'll take it. It gives me the insurance that this team, even if it's a draw, that's okay. I think Bayern Munich, you mentioned 15 games unbeaten. No team's ever done that in Europe's Big 5 leagues, right? Very impressive. But it feels like they've got the record, and now it's time for it to come to an end. So I'm going with the PSG pick. I love this Bayern team. I love what you're saying about Harry Kane. I love to watch them play. I think they have the spirit of this game. But I just think PSG at home is going to be a little too much. So I'm going to go with that pick. Both teams to score is minus 300. So you know what the bookies think. There's going to be goals in this one. But Andrew, what are you going with here?
I'm on the opposite side, my friend. And I'm not typically a Bayern Munich believer. I really am not. I think you can go back the last couple of years. I was big on Leverkusen when it was Xabi Alonso and they finished that season unbeaten. I was all over them early. I wasn't big on Bayern last season in the Champions League, and it cost me some money. I am starting to turn around. I think what Luis Diaz has offered this team after watching him at Liverpool as long as he was, I think he's been a really big outlet and a guy who stretches the field for them and who does a lot of off-the-ball work. Michael Olise has been incredible this year. I'm really excited for this game because I actually think that, for the first time in a while, I'm more excited about the team that's attacking PSG than PSG's attack, just because of the injuries.
I love that.
Like Dembele's been in and out of this lineup. Desiree Doué's now going to be definitively out, and Kvara is great, and he's going to do his thing. But Bradley Barcola is the 4th choice guy of that main 3 for PSG for a reason. He just doesn't have the efficiency, in my opinion. He's still young. There's still a long way to go in his career. I just think this Bayern team right now is playing at such a better level. PSG got it done over the weekend against Nice, but it wasn't exactly like a thumping of a win. They've lost to some teams. They lost to Marseille in Ligue 1 already this season. I know they beat Barcelona, but both of those teams were really banged up in that game. I don't know. I do believe in PSG, and I think that over the course of the season, they're going to be fine. But I think right now this is a great spot for Bayern, and this is a team, like I think they've won 15 games in a row, and you're getting the money line plus 165. I kind of am. I don't want to say running to the table, running to the window to put that ticket in, but draw no bet at plus 102 also feels great. Maybe this is like a little Bayern, double chance and over 2.5 goals type of play. If you can get that up to like, a near even number or something like that. And I'd also look at player props. I mean, Harry Kane to score 2 is plus 480, a hat trick's plus 3,000. He has 8 braces and 2 hat tricks already this season. I also really like Michael Olise, score or assist. He's done that in 9 of 13 games this year. Luis Diaz, same thing, 7 of 14. He's plus 135. I think there's a lot of value on some of the role players in this game, but I'm more bullish on Bayern right now. And I don't love their midfield. And I do love the PSG midfield. I just don't think that PSG are going to be able to handle the entire Bayern press this time.
Yeah, this is just, it's almost like it's a final preview, right? This could easily be the Champions League final we're talking about in May. And it's just going to be a fascinating matchup. You mentioned player props. I'm going to throw in Ashraf Hakimi to score or assist plus 175. This guy always shows up for Paris, especially in the Champions League. It just seems like he's always around in the goal contributions, doing things, getting forward. And let's not forget on the other side, Nuno Mendes. I mean, this PSG, they're two wingbacks. For me, best in the world on both. I mean,
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I'd fully agree.
yeah. And boy, look at this. This is a good time to tell anybody if you're watching this live, jump in the comments, tell us your bets because you could bet almost anything in this game and it would sound good to me. That's how exciting it is. But we do have one comment from my usual co-host. It's Jordan. This one's going to be a barn burner. Flame emoji. Well, Jordan, maybe you should be here doing the show if you got time to comment on it. Just giving him shit. But please do hop in the comments. Let us know what your thoughts on this game, as well as our other games going forward. So we're moving on to Wednesday's matchups, and we've got Qarabag versus Chelsea. This one sees Qarabag as a goal and a half underdogs at home, and the total set at a flat 3. Well, Chelsea took care of business, right? Defeating Tottenham in a pretty one-sided affair, I would say, over the weekend. This Qarabag team, sneaky, a little sneaky. They were in the Europa League. They made a really deep run last season, and the season before that, I believe, as well, because I've been following this team for a while. I'd obviously never heard of them. It's an Azerbaijani team, the Azerbaijani champions, and now they're getting to host the London Blues, the club that's won everything. What do you think about this matchup taking place Wednesday morning?
I think this is a really good spot to get maybe Qarabag on the spread. Chelsea, to me, I feel like every time I bet on their games, I get it wrong. I don't know what's going on with them.
Unless you bet a red card, then you'd be hand over fist rich.
Literally, I would have bought the club by now. But look, Qarabag, the dramatic win against Benfica. They had a good result against. I think they might have lost to Athletic Club, but they scored goals in that game. They've been hanging around in the Champions League this season, and that's a long flight. I think it's like the second longest flight that you're going to have to make in the Champions League. I think the only other team is the Kazakh team, Kairat. It's a long travel day, and Chelsea just played in a derby game on Saturday in London. I mean, that's fine. It's home base, but they played at Tottenham. That's a long flight. This Chelsea team is not as I wouldn't say firing on all pistons just yet. Under Maresca, there's obviously new players into the lineup that are still figuring out their place. Cole Palmer's been kind of banged up a lot this year. I think there's a good chance for Qarabag to get something here. And this Chelsea defense isn't perfect either. I like both teams to score here at minus 128. It's hitting 10 and 15 for Chelsea this season. They've given up this 6 of 8 games on the road, and Qarabag have done this in 2 of their 3 Champions League games in this format in this stage of the Champions League so far. So I think they do something here.
Man, I'm right with you. I wanted to add this game because this is just the perfect banana peel spot for Chelsea. And we've talked about all season how this new Champions League format, like, individual games don't really matter that much. Like if this was the old format where you played a home and away leg, you were worried about goal differential, you were worried about scoring on the road. It was just a completely different thing. Now it's a league phase. It's like Qarabag doesn't give a shit. It's like who they're playing. They're like, we're at home. We need to go out and win this game and at least give it a go. Yes, Chelsea probably man for man better in every position on the pitch. But you mentioned Chelsea, really young team, really undisciplined team. This is going to be a tough game for them, I think, traveling on the road here. And against this Qarabag side that I'm telling you guys right now is better than you think. You've never heard of them. Certainly you've heard of Chelsea. But this is just the perfect underdog spot. And then you add in the spread, right? A goal and a half for a home team in the Champions League. A goal and a half is just too much. I don't even care who this was. This could be the Kairat team you mentioned. If they're at home getting a goal and a half against a Chelsea team that is a little bit suspect, Chelsea can still win this game and you'd cash that bet, right? At plus 1.5, they only win by one. So I'm all over that spread here. Qarabag plus a goal and a half. And I'm actually going to double dip, man. I'm going to double dip and I'm going to follow you. I'm going to take that both teams to score, yes, because I think they definitely get on the score sheet. Chelsea will probably score, right? They've got enough attacking talent to field two teams probably. So who even knows who starts this one? They've got plenty that can come off the bench. Chelsea probably win, but I'm willing to bet quarterbacks make it tough. So give me that goal and a half spread. It's a little bit too much, even against this Chelsea side. Bob in the chat says Chelsea's good for another red card. It could be true. I mean, Qarabag, they're gonna get in their grills. They're gonna make this difficult. Chelsea, I hope, are prepared for this mentally because it's not going to be a walk in the park that they may think it is. But let's move on to another absolute banger on Wednesday. It's Manchester City against Borussia Dortmund. This one sees City as home favorites of a goal and a quarter on the Asian handicap. The total is set at 3.25 on the Asian total. Man City here, big favorites on the money line, minus 239. What do you think about this matchup on Wednesday?
City have been another team I've struggled to read this year. They're still getting their wins, but I think, every year they've been kind of losing one of those big pieces for the sustained dominance that they've had in the Premier League. They just lost De Bruyne a couple years ago. They lost Riyad Mahrez. Raheem Sterling left, and slowly but surely they're turning this team over. And I don't think all of those players are really playing. Obviously, Haaland is playing to the Manchester City level of excellence when we saw them win 4 Premier Leagues in a row. And obviously, that's such a hard thing to maintain. But this Dortmund team is more organized than since Kovac took over last year. His run with this club is really remarkable. He took over. They were outside of the Champions League. They went on a tear to qualify for a top 4 last year. And they're off to a pretty strong start in the Bundesliga. Obviously they lost to Bayern in Der Klassiker, but they're much more organized, not giving up as many goals. But we saw a little run there for Adeyemi. He was scoring a ton of goals. You're still getting Girassi scoring goals. This isn't, I would say, Dortmund. It's much more controlled, much less chaotic from the team that kind of got to the Champions League final a couple of years ago. But still moving to a back 3, which I think has helped. But still a very good squad.
Yeah, I mentioned this on your pod, good time to plug, the Plus Money podcast with Andrew Passaro. We just did a little cross-pollination. I hopped on his show. Now he's hopping on ours, so appreciate that. Be sure to check his show out. I mentioned this on your pod, but a couple years ago, I would have hammered the goal total on this, not even thinking about the price. Just like whatever this is, there's going to be goals everywhere. But Kovac has made this team a lot more stout, a lot more solid defensively. We've seen under 2.5 goals in 3 straight Dortmund matches across all comps. Now in the Champions League, those numbers are crazy, right? They had a 4-1 against the Athletic Club. They had, of course, the majestic 4-4 against Juventus. That was insane. 4-2 against Copenhagen. So if you wanted to take goals here, I wouldn't put anyone off that. But for me, it's just a little bit nervy about Dortmund. But let's also not forget that probably the best, or we mentioned the 3 guys at the top, right? The 3 number 9s, Haaland, Kane, Mbappe. Haaland in this one against his former team, he's going to score, right? He has to score. He's going to score against Dortmund. I remember him the first time he played against Dortmund in the Champions League for Man City. He scored one of the craziest goals I've ever seen. Do you remember this one where he jumped up and almost was parallel with the ground and kicked it with his side foot? It was insane. Could see something like that, and then he'll put his hands up I'm not going to celebrate against this team. So his price just to score is prohibitively expensive. It's minus 180 for Haaland to score. Just think about that, just how crazy that number is. But if you parlay that with Man City to win the game, you can get around minus 120. You can even get it probably lower on some books if you shop around. That might be one way to go with it. I like to stay off of this just because I don't know about this Dortmund team. I don't trust them. They scare me. The spread is too big. Could see the total going either direction, so I stayed off it. One little weird prop, if you guys are interested and you believe in this Dortmund team, is them to score first in this match. Plus 187. And it just seems like when City do concede, it's because they concede first. Like it's some like fluky counterattack that goes the wrong way and the other team ends up scoring. So that might be one way to look at it. But in the end, I elected to stay off it.
I took both teams to score in over 2.5 at minus 135. The number's not, I don't love the number, but if you can get a boost, you mentioned it. Dortmund, it's hitting all three of their Champions League games. It hit in their game against Bayern. I think they are definitely handling some of the like lower tier Bundesliga teams really well this season. But I think when they get put into that, like, I think Dortmund to me are a team that's kind of caught where they're like better than 95% of the Bundesliga teams, but they're not as good as a lot of the European teams. So I think you're going to see a lot of shutouts in the Bundesliga when it's not Bayern, and you're going to see a lot of goals in the other games because there's a weird gap of quality with Dortmund for me. If you can get that number, if that number is moved to minus 140, I'm probably not going to play it personally. I think minus 135 is kind of the lowest. I'm going to take it. Nick Diani, who does plus money with me, did over 2.5. I think it was over 2.5 and Bournemouth plus 2.5 this past weekend and got it at like plus 120. If you do the same thing, so over 2.5 and Dortmund plus 2.5, that's plus 110. I think it's a very similar style bet. You're basically like, do you think both teams are going to score? Do you think there's going to be 3 goals? And do you think that Manchester City don't beat Dortmund by 3? If you think all 3 of those things are going to happen, that's a plus number. I think it's very comparable to both teams to score over 2.5, just a little bit of a payout.
Nice, man. That's a good way to do it. I didn't even know you could parlay spreads like that. Because we usually use the Asian handicap and they don't let us parlay that out here. So it's the East meets West, man. We got different stuff on different coasts. But let's move on because we got another Premier League team in action. It's Newcastle United against Athletic Club Bilbao. This one sees Newcastle as home favorites of a full goal, -1. Total is set at 2.5. Both teams to score, decent price, yes, minus 106. And then you got the money lines. Newcastle minus 200 to win this thing. Maybe it's a parlay piece. But what do you think about this matchup here taking place on Wednesday?
This should have maybe 2 of the best sets of fans in the Champions League on Wednesday. Athletic Club, great home support. They did just lose the Basque Derby on the weekend, so their fans will not be happy. And Newcastle, disappointing loss to West Ham. For a team that has the ambitions that they have, that was not a good loss for Newcastle. Athletic Club have been a team that I've struggled to read this year. They also have struggled a lot on the road. I think this should be a great bounce back spot for Newcastle. And I have to check. As of going into this game, Voltamata, every single shot on target he had was a goal. I don't know if that changed in that West Ham game. But yeah, it's like a very weird niche stat. Newcastle, frustrating team to me, where they should be better than they actually are. And but I do think they'll take care of this game. But I could talk myself into both teams to score at that number. Because it's hitting about 50% of the games for both clubs. It's 7 of 15 for Newcastle and 7 of 14 for Athletic Club. And it's 2 of their 3 Champions League games and 3 of their 6 games on the road. So it's like Nico Williams to me needs to take that actual step to like being the player that he is with Spain, to be that player all the time. And it's so frustrating to me because he should just be a guy that I carve out time of every Saturday, Sunday to watch him. And he kind of isn't that. It's like I'll watch him during international break with Spain.
Yeah, well, he is actually doubtful for this game, I'm seeing right now. I know Iñaki Williams, his brother, on the other side, he's definitely out. Lineup checker again. How many times do we have to say it? We have to give out the plays because we're doing the show, but you guys should always check lineups. But look, Newcastle -1, it's a free hit for me. They're playing at home here. St. James Park on a European night is an absolute cauldron. And boy, was I just licking my lips when I saw they lost to West Ham. I was like, oh, you poor bastards, Athletic, because you're about to get the absolute wrath of this team. And they had the look ahead spot. West Ham absolutely dying for points. They had to get something. Newcastle, it seemed like at halftime was like, well, fuck it, let's punt on this and we'll just focus on the midweek Champions League because they're back at home. And boy, I think this starts at least 1-0. So I'm taking that -1 for Newcastle. -122, a little juicy. Can Athletic Club get on the board? Yeah, possibly, but Newcastle just so stout at home, and we've seen these EPL teams coming up against, especially at home, up against some of these other leagues, and it just seems like they're not ready for the physicality. And no team is more physical than Newcastle in the midfield. Between Tonali, Joe Linton, Gumarish, those three guys in that midfield is just a dominant trio, and I think they're going to run through Athletic Club here. So I'm taking that -1. Feels like a free hit. I think they win the game. Can they win by more than one? Well, that's what I'm banking on here, the -1. And Newcastle, money line is a parlay piece. I don't mind either. Parlay that with like Barcelona. That's a match we're not covering. Some other big favorites, City maybe. But look, I know, Andrew, you got to get out of here soon. We got one more matchup to cover for you guys. So let's move on. It is Olympique Club de Marseille against Atalanta. And this one sees Marseille as home favorites of a quarter of a goal. Total is set at 2.75. Both teams to score -188. So you know what the bookies think. They're thinking this starts at a 1-1. But what do you think about this matchup, Andrew? I know you're big on the Serie A, so I'm curious your thoughts on this Atalanta side traveling to Marseille.
Atalanta have been such a frustrating team this year because I did say at the beginning of the year, my big, like, bold Serie A take was that Atalanta were going to finish in the bottom 10 and Como were going to finish top 6. That was like my scalding hot take. And Atalanta have like stuck around. They're not doing well, but they are like getting these frustrating 1-1 draws. I do think this is probably the best both teams to score play that you're going to get for like a parlay piece for Wednesday. Marseille are a little like last year and the year before that, I think you could just pencil them in for 2 goals a game. And this year they'll have games where they're going to win a game like 5-1. And then the next game, they're going to follow it up and just win a 1-0 game. But there's so much attacking talent on this Marseille team. I'm bullish on them. They're a team that I have notifications on FOTMob for, because usually if last year you were getting team total over 1.5 at a really good price. Mason Greenwood's just banging in goals. Igor Paixão. They still have Aubameyang. That front attacking line is exactly the playing to the style that De Zerbi wants. They're a fun team to watch. They're unbeaten at home this season. Atalanta just 2 losses on the year, though. They've grinded out a lot of draws. Both of those losses are on the road. So I lean Marseille. But I think this is if there's a game that you wanted to chase goals, I think this is kind of the one where I would let the dogs off the chain and say go for it, because Marseille absolutely could dunk on Atalanta, or Atalanta could kind of show up. I mean, I had Bruges against Atalanta in a big way, and Atalanta came storming back in that game. That really pissed me off. But yeah,
yeah, man. I'm go ahead.
There's still talent on this Atalanta team. Like, yes, Gasparini's gone, but you still have CDK, you still have Lookman. They lost the striker Retegui, but their midfield is more or less the same as it was last year. Their manager's maybe one of the most fraudulent managers in Italy right now. But
Ivan
the
Juric,
pieces, Ivan Juric is a bad coach, but the pieces are still there from the team. A lot of big pieces from the team that won Europa League a couple of years ago and had a good European run last year. So they're a frustrating team because they're a shell of what they should be. But yeah, I think there'll be goals here.
Yeah, man, I was back and forth on this one. I was looking at goals, and then I look at Atalanta's just record this season, and it seems like they're just like a classic Serie A defensive team that's just going to sit back and like prioritize defense. They've had under 2.5 goals in 6 straight matches across all comps. And then on the other side, Marseille over 2.5 in 7 of their last 8. In the end, I just wanted to go with the home team to win the game. I don't like the spread. Don't give me that little minus a quarter of a goal. Fuck all that. I'm just going to take Marseille to win the game, plus 110. I think they're the better team, particularly in the forward positions, right? You mentioned those guys, Greenwood, Aubameyang, And this Paixão, I can't believe he's not getting calls up for the Brazilian national team. I mean, the guy is absolutely incredible. Love watching him. He's electric. I think they should be able to score a couple goals here. I wouldn't mind looking at that team total. That was another thing I was looking at. Minus 120. The both teams to score in over 2.5, also minus 120. In the end, I was like, I'll take the plus money. I'll take the plus 110 and just give me Marseille to win the game. It's probably going to be a sweat. It's probably going to be a sweat.
I'm right there with you. It's common sense play. You know what I mean? Like, why overcomplicate it when we don't need to? Just give me Marseille at home.
I've got the home team. I've got the better manager. I've got, I think, positionally the better attack. Midfield, I would say, is a toss-up. And then I rate Marseille's defense, especially their goalkeeper. This guy, Rui. It's double L, so I think it's Rui.
The Argentinian kid. I mean, he's not a kid.
Yeah, he's the second. He's their second goalkeeper, I think, behind Emiliano Martinez. So, yeah, I like what this Marseille team is doing. So, a number of ways you can play this. As always, guys, bet responsibly. And you look at these matches, you don't have to tail us exactly. Listen to the analysis and make your own picks. There's so many ways to attack soccer betting. Hopefully, we gave you some good insight for this one. But, Andrew, before we get out of here, there's something we got to do. Because there's one thing to just talk about these matchups, and it's quite another to put our money where our mouths are and pay the bookie.
Chuck, I'm going to tell you something. You have that fucking 200 in my hands tomorrow. If you ain't got the 200 in my fucking hands tomorrow, I'll break every fucking bone in your body.
All right, well, let's go ahead and throw up our official plays on the screen here. I'll read mine out for you guys, and then, Andrew, you can do yours. I'll tell you right now, we're both on Real Madrid. Team total over 1.5. Andrew got a better price here, minus 122. I had to play the minus 125, so be sure to shop around. PSG and Bayern Munich. I've got PSG as a pick here on the Asian handicap, minus 118. I'm also throwing in Achraf Hakimi to score or assist, plus 175. Nice plus money there. Qarabag and Chelsea, both teams to score, yes, minus 134. And Qarabag on the Asian handicap, plus a goal and a half at minus 118. Newcastle United, minus 1 on the Asian handicap, minus 122. And, that's probably my favorite play on the board. Marseille on the money line, plus 110. Andrew, what do you got?
Like I said, we're both on Madrid. I think they'll get goals. Bayern, I gotta take Bayern right now. They're just on a heater, and this is the heat check for me. I love Qarabag, Chelsea, both teams to score. I think it's a great spot to get Qarabag first half goals. I'm gonna look at too now that I'm thinking about it. Newcastle, Bilbao. I think Bilbao do need to get a bounce back in some way after getting smoked in the derby. They got to get a goal in this game, and Newcastle will win. Marseille money line. Why overcomplicate it? And Manchester City, Dortmund. Both teams scoring over 2.5. I think that game sneaky could be the game of the day on Wednesday.
Ooh, I love it. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, listening, wherever you are. Please give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. Helps us to grow this show. We see a lot of people watching this thing live right now. Throw in your comments. You guys, you can do it after the fact. We'll respond to them. If you're listening to this on any kind of podcast app, please leave us a 5-star review. We will read it out for you guys on the show. So you can put some weird words in our mouths. Thank you so much to Andrew Passaro for joining us. And Andrew, go ahead and plug, man. Where can the people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Passaro. You can follow my podcast at the Plus Money Pod. We're on all the platforms, Instagram, Twitter, what have you. And then also the big one we're plugging right now is the YouTube. So if you like the podcast, would love for you to watch it with us over on YouTube at the Plus Money Pod. And if you're looking for more picks, we do a bonus episode every week. You get a bonus episode every single week, and that's $5 for the whole month over on Patreon. So I usually do another 5 or 6 games. I usually do some goal scorer props, maybe parlay them together. And I'll write up some stuff as we get to international break. I'll have all my bonus plays will go there first. So yeah, it helps me, pay the electric bill and what have you. Well,
thanks for hopping on, man. Yeah, be able to definitely check out Andrew. And you just made me think of something. Goal scorer parlays. What do you think if you did like Mbappe, Haaland, and Kane all to score? The 3 big number 9s we've been talking about all show. I have it open right. I don't have that open right now, but if you stall for time, I can build it for you right now. Yes, build it. I want to know.
My guess is it's going to be like only like plus 375 because I don't think the value is going to be there.
That's crazy.
Unfortunately.
That's so crazy. The numbers getting to the way they are with goal scorers. I don't play a lot of goal scorer props, but I'm like a spread and total better. But especially when you see an underdog like that Qarabag game, home dog, I'm all over that. What else? What else can I plug? Stalling for time. Uh, Thank you again for coming on, Andrew. You mentioned Luis Diaz. I should have done this before, but I got my Colombia kit on. My
That's the 100-year anniversary one, right?
That's right. That's right. My girlfriend is a Colombian national, so I've adopted the team for internationally.
Okay. At least on the book that I'm looking on, no free ads because I'm not sponsored yet. I'm seeing Harry Kane at minus 105 anytime. Which is incredible. I'm seeing Mbappe at plus 100, and I'm seeing Erling Haaland is minus 200. All of that is adding up in this book at plus 485. So that's pretty good.
I don't mind it. It's fun.
I think I'm gonna put like some pocket change on. I might put I'm not a full unit, but I'll put probably a quarter of a unit on that, and then I'm gonna put literal pocket change on all three of them to have a brace and all three of them to have a hat trick. Because if I hit that, then I'm just telling the boss man I'm taking off 2 weeks to go to the Caribbean.
Yeah. I love it, man. Yeah, Bob in the chat said he got plus 477 on another book. Always shop around, guys, especially when you start parlaying because the numbers can be wildly different. That goal scorer one's super fun. If Kane and Mbappe hit it, you got to wait till Wednesday to see Haaland, but that'll be a lot of fun.
I know. I know.
So yeah, as always, guys, please bet responsibly. You're doing this for fun, not to get rich. So always remember that. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you all for watching this. Throw us a like, throw us a subscribe. We appreciate it. And until next time, let's make some money.
Martial.